Agriculture is the mainstay of Nigeria's economy, with about 70% of Nigerians depending on agriculture for their livelihoods. However, many farmers face challenges in growing enough crops to support their families and communities. Limited access to irrigation infrastructure is one major barrier. For decades, lack of irrigation and water management has plagued agriculture in Nigeria. Farmers rely heavily on seasonal rains, which are increasingly unpredictable. Prolonged dry spells lead to destroyed crops and soaring food prices. Policies have remained a fundamental instrument that provides a roadmap for government at all levels to achieve its goals. Nigeria, over the years, has developed various policies, plans, and programs related to irrigation and drainage. Nigeria developed a National Water Resources Master Plan in the 1990s, which included irrigation and drainage policy components. In 2012, the Federal Ministry of Water Resources published a National Irrigation and Drainage Strategy and Roadmap to expand irrigation. This later led to an official consolidated policy document titled National Irrigation and Drainage Policy, which was published in 2015. Again, in 2020, Nigeria launched a partnership with the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, to formulate a National Irrigation Development Plan to expand irrigation. Nigeria is aiming to transform its agricultural sector and bolster food security for its rapidly growing population. This policy intended to address 8 key problem areas, which include 1. Low agricultural productivity, income, and returns from investment. 2. Low capacity for regulation, coordination, operation, and provision of support services. 3. Low inclusiveness of users of land and water resources. 4. Inappropriate funding mechanism and low private sector participation. 5. Environmental imbalance and lack of sustainability. 6. Underutilization of land and water resources. 7. Low capacity for research and development and low accessibility to improved technologies to support irrigation development and sustained growth. And lastly, 8. Low capacity for data generation and information management and use. Likewise, there are 8 policy objectives or thrusts that are proposed to address with a view to achieving accelerated and sustained irrigation development in Nigeria, and they are efficient performance, viability and competitiveness, good governance and enhanced services, socioeconomic and cultural inclusion, responsive funding mechanism and effective private sector participation, responsible production and sustainable development, efficient resource utilization and rapid irrigation growth, improved capacity for generation of and accessibility to as well as uptake of innovations, and lastly, improved capacity for sustainable data generation, management, and use. The strategy for implementing this set of policy objectives include addressing prominent issues of good governance, resource utilization, socioeconomic and cultural inclusion, funding mechanism and effective participation, sustainable production, amongst others. Today, we shall be looking at the policy objectives holistically. I am Lydia Odidiochi. Thank you for joining us. Before we continue on our topic for today, here is the news update.
The National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies NIPSS Kuru organized a 3-day training and capacity building workshop for director staff and senior research fellows of the National Institute. The training is to aid them to carry out their duties efficiently as the Senior Executive Course 46 is about to begin. The doyen of directing staff, Rear Admiral A. Adesope, retired MNI, urged the director staff to be dispassionate while carrying out their duties and not indulge in actions that will bring the integrity of the institute into disrepute. The members of staff were advised to be accommodating and open minded in dealing with participants, especially during study tours, project supervision, study group sessions, and presentations.
The DS Audition Fellow were to ensure that the participant must not be discriminated against based on ethnicity, socioeconomic status, religion, gender, and age. Dressing. As a general rule, participants are expected to appear suitably dressed in a manner appropriate to the occasion. All members of directing staff, research fellows, DS special duties, you have a lot of work to do here. The dressing code in NIPSS, if you are in traditional wear, you must have a cap on. If you are in suits, you can appear the way I am, So you deal with them as participants. And like I said, they are professionals in their own field.
The Director of Studies, Professor Fumi Paramalam, MNI, spoke on the importance of the training and its impact on the directing staff and senior research fellows.
So our directing staff, they come from like a very wide variety of walks of life, diverse walks of life. They have different experience, different knowledge that they bring to the table. But in the National Institute, we have our own in-house style. So it has become very imperative to at least induct them into our own in-house style and also to let them know what the expectations are for being a directing staff. Many of them have not really served in this kind of capacity before. So it's important that everybody's on the same page, singing from the same hymn sheet, so that we minimize conflict. But it's also to promote synergy between the Directorate of Studies and Research, because we have fellows, senior fellows and fellows who are also members of faculty, and they will be engaging directly with participants. So it's important for them also to be part of this. And that is why we want them to be here, to have this kind of interface with one another, exchange of ideas and clarifications.
Directing Staff Special Duties, Navy Commodore Godwin Obaje, MNI, and some new members had this to say.
The workshop is a capacity building workshop a training workshop for directing staff, particularly those who are joining the faculty newly, in order to equip them with necessary tools and maybe shaping their focus in the assignment that is coming before them, particularly as the participants are set to resume by next week, so that by the time they come, all of us will be on the same page and have the same capacity to deliver. So far, from what I've seen from the workshop, it's been so impactful. Even those of us who are being in the faculty now, we're gaining much more as much as the new members of the faculty who are joining. And I must confess that I'm better equipped now to play my role as a directing staff.
The workshop currently ongoing, the training of directing staff, is quite beautiful. It is a reminder kind of what we did, and which will also help us to pass on to the current participants. It is something refreshing, particularly coming to NIPSS and back to NIPSS. I feel I am at home, and whatever I'm doing, I do it with the whole of my heart and with that zeal, knowing that I'm impacting, and particularly to senior officials in the country, and that they also will go out to impact on others. So I feel privileged.
It has really impacted a lot, not only on me, but on the directing staffs. But especially myself, that is a very new directing staff, having just left NIPSS last year, December, and coming back again as a directing staff to the National Institute. The training comes at the right time, the capacity building training. This is being done, in preparation to receive the incoming SEC 46 participants whom we are looking forward to their resumption by next week, Tuesday. The training encompasses so many, especially in the field of ICT, something that I have not had the privilege to know as a participant. But now I'm exposed to that training, which is really preparing me to be a directing staff, to mentor those that are going to come as their directing staff. And a lot is being said. Presently, it is the ICT training that is ongoing, having received also lectures in form of roles and capacity of a directing staff in leadership, which was just done by Chief Ezekiel Gomez, who is also still present in the room to continue with others.
Orientation and capacity building trainings for directing staff and research fellows is a tradition at the National Institute to keep members of staff abreast with best practices and laid down objectives and expected goals of the Institute. Chana Ijoga, reporting for NIPSS Policy TV.
It's new, it's fresh, it's all about policies and strategies. Watch out for NIPSS Policy TV programs on NTA News 24. Tune in on Mondays, Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on DSTV Channel 419, GoTV Channel 26, Star Times Channels 101 and 433, and Free TV Channel 703. Miss this and miss out on policies that will affect you and our country. Join us.
Welcome back to our topic today on Policy Focus. We will be looking at how National Policy on Irrigation and Drainage Act 2015 will help Nigerians achieve an additional irrigation landmass spread of 500,000 hectares of farmland by 2030, and also key into President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's agenda for food security. How can we use drainage infrastructure to mitigate flooding, soil erosion, and other climate change impacts? How much impact have successive Nigerian governments had on irrigation and drainage infrastructure policies to support farmers? To address these and more, we have an expert who is extensively versatile on the issue to provide answers to these pertinent questions. We shall be talking to him in a moment. Stay with us. To talk on this topic, we have come to the office of Dr. Muritala Oke-Ikar. He has a PhD in Water Resources Management, and he is a Senior Fellow, Directorate of Research, National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru, Jos. Thank you for joining us, sir. We really appreciate your time with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great. In 2020, Nigeria launched a partnership with the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, to formulate a national irrigation development plan to expand irrigation. Now, can you give us an overview of that partnership and agreement and where the process is right now? In fact, just tell us, where are we in that regard?
Thank you very much for having me. The FAO put in place measures in order to ameliorate the challenges of food security in the country. The focus, the goal of the FAO is to ensure that we have a year-long production of agricultural products every year, and because of the fact that Nigeria is endowed with the opportunity, with 3.4 million meter cube of water, which is surface water, and over 1.8 million cube of groundwater. But unfortunately, we have not been able to have successively more than 8 months in the south and 4 months or 6 months in the north of agricultural activity. So the FAO felt there is need for us to have a sustained agricultural productivity year long. And so FAO put in place, supported us in having national irrigation and drainage policy, and in fact put in place some technical expertise, and in fact also support us with infrastructural development in order to enhance agricultural productivity. And this has aided us to some extent in expanding our agricultural production in the country. There are needs to do more, but at least we now have the policy in place, we have the technical expertise in place. The next thing will be, okay, our budget and budgeting system to support the infrastructures, and we're still expecting more efforts from the from ECOWAS, from regional, business investments in order to expand those irrigation opportunities in Nigeria.
Many donor-funded irrigation projects end up unfinished or abandoned entirely after withdrawal of foreign donors. Now, what could be responsible for this?
Inconsistency and continuity. I don't want us to bother. I don't want to stress the issue of corruption again. We have not been, as a country, been able to sustain most of our infrastructure, even from 1960. You see that major infrastructure that we have had so far of 1960 up to 1980. The newer ones are not that solid. When I say solid, they are not as compared with the 1960, 1970. Look at the Kanji Dam. Look at the Jeba Dam. They are still the dams that we are using today. Most of the newer ones, the Bakalori, the Ikere Gorge, the Oyon dams, we are not being used. They are not being used.
Could it be as a result of lack of political will?
Yes, lack of political will, majorly, and then before the support of the FAO, I can say lack of technical expertise. Okay. Yeah, lack of technical expertise, especially at the public institutional level. At the public institutional level, you will recall that the House of Rep or Senate went to an agency that are supposed to be doing security and exchange, and they met people that study all kind of courses. Human resources, appropriate placement of human resources at the right place is a problem in Nigeria. There are some agencies that are technical. Only people that are technical can only be there. But this idea of ministry, head of service, ministry of sending people to agencies is still a challenge for us. So right people in the right place is still a challenge for us.
Now, Dr. do you think there's enough being done by the private sector, partnerships, or interventions?
Sometimes changing the government and changing the perception and the drive of each government. There is always a change in how private sector get involved. Okay, as of some time we have a government that believes that we want to expand agricultural base, and so Anchor Bora was brought in, another sort of, so these will demand more water. Okay. And the demand for more water will mean we have to go into our educational facility, engineering, infrastructure. That will aid a private sector for coming in, including Ruga. The last regime talked about Ruga, which centrally is to take care of the water, the need of the livestock, including the watering. That will demand having a dam, embankment, and so on and so forth, that the public and private sector can collaborate to have. But it doesn't see the light of the day. Although there are 1 or 2 states that are doing something about it, but the partnership cannot be sustained as a result of changes in the government.
Millions of hardworking farmers lack access to irrigation and proper drainage that would allow them to increase their yield, feed more people, and improve rural economies. Now, what would be your reaction to this?
We all agree that we can feed ourselves. We have farmers. We have, in fact, a national association of rice farmers, maize farmers, and so on. They are willing to do more work. And so that is a huge business for us to be able to feed ourselves and, in fact, feed the whole region. But the issue of security, we need to look at that. The issue of the fact that climate change is really, really affecting us. We have seasonal rainfall patterns. We have temperature changes and so on. Last year we had issues about heat rash, pest and diseases. We equally have research institutions that take care of all this. That have said one of the things that have done researches around this, but the uptake is still low. These are affecting the farmers. There should be a collaborative response to the farmers' need, not only irrigation, not only drainage, but disease control, pest control, fertilizers, and so on and so on, and then security. With this in place, our farmers are good to go and give us bumper harvest.
Farming communities have resorted to rudimentary small-scale irrigation with little or no government assistance for years. What would be your take on this issue?
Government assistance have been coming. It could be fluctuating, but it is not sustained. It's not consistent. So, that is an issue. But the fact is that our farmers also need to upgrade. I was somewhere where farmers are saying, okay, I was able to get 1,000 bags of paddy rice last year. I want to have 1,500 paddy rice. So, people are getting increase and improvement in agricultural yield. And then increase and improve agricultural yield is supposed to lead to adoption of agricultural mechanisms. So if you have 1,000 paddy rice and you are now going to 1,500 paddy rice, imagine the number of human labor you are going to use. So now if you now change to use of machines, tractors, with the support of the government, or individually, or group buying one tractor and then using it for your agricultural activity. So it requires forming of cooperatives. We have some of the cooperatives that maybe they need to be strengthened. Then we have institutions that could strengthen that. So those institutions need to be waking up to strengthen those cooperatives to be able to buy machines that can be used by this farmer. They can then be borrowed, they can be hiring it. And that will be a business. So we need more of that, especially at the place where it is needed. So there are a lot of people that are needed. We need cooperatives. The farmers need to form a cooperative. They have cooperatives. Those cooperatives need to be strengthened. Then government agency need to support those cooperatives also to be able to perform very well. And then our extension services, agricultural extension workers needs to do more. I know that we are having challenges as far as agricultural extension in Nigeria. People don't want to go to the village nowadays. People don't want to go to the into the interlands because of insecurity. And so we need our farmer security people. I learned that the Nigeria Civil Service, NC, Nigeria Civil Defense are having something around that. So we need to focus on things that will aid our farming activity.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration is very serious about food security and is doing a lot to improve food security. Now, what are those measures needed for smallholder farmers in getting access to facilities for irrigation facilities?
I mean, the policy is very easy, it's very open. At the moment, there are drainage irrigation facilities across the country. There are existing one. Yes, there are existing one. Even the so-called Oyon Dam, the Keregod, even though they are not being used maximally, but they are existing. And we have River Basin Authority across the country. This River Basin Authority, what they do is they are the one that manages all the dams. And they also have, by virtue of their acts statutorily, villages, farmers that they do release the water. They do release the water for them to be able to farm. As we are now, we have it. Are they working to the maximum? We may not be able to say, but they will have it. And we have more than, almost, is it 13 or 16 River Basin Authority across the country. They may not be performing up to the expectation, maybe because of funding, because of technical expertise and so on and so forth. But they are existing institutions and they are working. Okay. They are working actually. And but the last regime attempted to privatize most of our dams. Yes, because they look at it from the commercial perspective. There is water and there is farmer. A farmer needs water. I am ready to release water for you, provided you can pay this money. And they are still doing, some of the River Basin Authority are doing it. I'm telling you authoritatively. I know that Oyon Dam releases water to Lagos State, and Lagos State is paying water through the Lagos State Water Corporation. Yes, the same thing with Ogun State Water Corporation. And the same, so I say Jure Dam in between Oyo and Ogun is servicing, although it's also servicing Coca-Cola, is servicing farmers around Osun and Ogun. And I know, is it Tiba or Dam in Tiga Dam in Kano is also doing similar thing. Okay. So, are we be able to upscale it to increase the agricultural production? We may not be able to ascertain. Okay. But the point is, we have institutional, we have policy structure that are taking care of the need of the farmers. Okay. We need to do more.
It will be interesting to note that while irrigation and drainage priorities have shaped Nigeria's policies on agriculture for decades, various states have also developed their own irrigation development policies and action plans over the last decade. Would you recommend a review of these policies due to current realities of climate change?
Yes, I will recommend a review because we are now having increased population. We are now having improved technologies and techniques. We are now having improved seeds and so on. So we need to, based on the new things, as at the time those policies have been developed, we don't have robotic. Okay. We don't have robots. We don't have artificial intelligence. Now we have drones. We need to incorporate them appropriately. And then we need to push the use of this AI softwares, AI opportunities, we need to push them into our agricultural production activity. I mean, at a broader scale. So we need policy to back it up. So it needs to be reviewed.
Keep watching.
Keep watching.
Keep watching NIPSS Policy TV.
When you go to the rural areas, what they make use of is the manual or the artificial irrigation, in which they make use of or they drill boreholes. That's the local way. They buy a little engines, then drill things like that. So if the government can look into it and maybe create a large-scale water system that will accommodate a large community or a large farm, I think it will help as well. Then, whether we like it or not, farmers are suffering because of the high prices in fertilizer, in the farm equipment and the rest. So if there will be subsidized farmers' equipment, mechanized equipment, it could be giving us loan, and at the same time it could be giving us a grant, maybe to just help subsidize the stress farmers are going through at the moment. So I think if all these things is achieved, it will help greatly.
I think what government can do is to provide more, let's say, a little bit of, an equipment to kind of help the farmers. Like, during dry season, what farmers make use of, maybe in rural places, what they make use of, they don't really have a drainage system where it can help them to water their plants and the irrigation and all of that. So if government can help them in providing more drainage system, creating more ways, creating more channels properly, it will really go a long way to farmers, especially in rural places where they don't really have opportunities like urban cities have. So the farmers, if government can help out in creating more drainages system, basically, let's say, educating the farmers too. Yes, educating the farmer more about, because some farmers don't really know about irrigation, drainage system and more of that. They don't really know. So I'll go with more of education and then also providing them the systems, the channel systems that will lead to that.
The government should construct more dams, and then the existing ones should not be left like that. It should be on a check, to ascertain the level of water so that it won't just dry off completely. And then construction of drainages, because I believe not all plants require a whole lot of water. So I think drainages should be constructed so that the waterways will be good.
I'm one person that believes that everything is possible with planning. I studied in Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, so I am familiar with the north, and I can categorically tell you that the colonial northern leaders, Ahmadu Bello, Tafawa Balewa, had serious plans for all these irrigation stuffs. If you go to the north, you see artificial dams. Aside from the artificial dams, there are drainage systems that actually tap from those dams down to people's farms. It was well planned. It was not just like that, you understand? It's just, okay, Jan started something like that, former governor. If you check, there are some dams that they are properly, you understand? Although they are tin mining site, but he decided to convert them to become proper dams so that it will aid in irrigation. You just need more of those dams. It's just a connection. Connect dams to small drainages that will take this water to, and it's the soil. Once it goes down, it will still come back. You understand? So it's just planning. Plan the dams, plan the drainages, and channel them to the proper places where irrigation is, and Plateau State will be green all throughout the year.
Keep watching.
Keep watching. Keep watching NIPSS Policy TV.
The advice to the youth is that they need to be focused. Everything that is good comes with sacrifice. They need to be prepared for sacrifice. They don't need to leave the country. Nigeria is still the best country to make it.
Thanks for joining us. This is Alumni Chat. I have a guest today, and this is none other than Barrister Chile Okoroma, SAN MNI. So it's good to have you on the program. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm grateful.
Okay. So I would like to ask, what brought about you coming to the National Institute?
Coming to the National Institute, first of all, I was nominated by my agency to come to the National Institute, but that was not my first time. That was my first time in the main course, the senior executive course. But I had attended a PSLC course in 2008. That was just for 1 month. So, but this time around, in 2020, I was nominated by my agency to come to NIPSS. Since I was nominated, I didn't have an option than to come. Left to me, I would have preferred. When I was nominated, it was with mixed feelings, because I felt I needed to be in my office, going to court, doing what I know how to do. But when I was now sent to NIPSS for a whole 1 year, I won't be going to court, I won't be arguing or preparing my matters or working in the office and doing all those things. I was just going to go as a participant. I just had to accept it because I didn't have an option. But coming there, I thank God I did. Let me just for that say I thank God I did.
So that leads me to the next question, which is, what was your experience while you were a participant?
Various experiences. The experiences very profound, very exciting. First of all, it's a melting pot from people from different sectors. Yes, people, the public and the private sector, people from the military, people from the private sector, coming from the federal government institutions, state government institutions. So it was really a place where people interacted. And that would help to widen my horizon and gave me a better understanding of a lot of things. And in fact, it made me to have more respect for our military men. You know, my take before, what I was thinking was that all that the soldiers do, all they do is soldiery. But coming to NIPSS, I said, so we just have people, military men, who are so academic minded, so scholarly, very brilliant. They were looking at just how they analyze policies, how they discuss, and it was quite, you know, it just helped me a lot to have more respect for the people from the military, unlike how it used to be before, and quite a lot of people. So I've had a lot of experiences. You know, I can go to highlight quite a lot of them. First, another thing is that I learned a lot on issue of policies, what policies are, how policies are implemented, what happens to policies, the monitoring and everything. Some of them studying them, some of them that didn't work, why they didn't work, strategy, leadership. You know, I learned a lot on all this. You know, the institutional framework, legal framework, policy framework. I understood. I came to learn so much about all this, and also the cross-fertilization of ideas from people coming from different backgrounds. You know, gave me better understanding, better perspective of several things. You know, it also instilled more discipline in me. You know, it's regimented.
Yeah.
So you just coming from a place where you are the boss. Here you are just a participant. Whatever position you were in your office, you just left them at the gate. You are just like just a student. I just be ordered about, learning how to go to class, wake up early in the morning, and do the morning exercise. You know, the time we have to go for the breakfast, prepare to go for study group discussions, then go for the plenary, sit there for hours, listening to people. You know, so it made me to be more disciplined in my approach to things. And then again, also, you know, we lawyers generally, we are very verbose when we write things. Yes, we're very, very verbose because we want to capture everything. You know, one simple sentence. For instance, now they say a lawyer, an ordinary man can say, I give you this orange. But a lawyer will say, I give you this orange together with all the interest, right, title, appurtenances, associated to eat, or deal with any manner you may deem appropriate. I know, go just like that. So you just get as a lawyer. But you see, NIPSS now, you have what they call economy of frugality, of words. I remember we were told that a sentence should not be more than 23 words. So when you are just of writing, whatever you are writing, you are checking the sentences, you are cutting them, knowing how to start your paragraph, everything in line with the NIPSS style manual.
Yeah.
You know, like how it used to be before. And also, I remember what we are told. Say, look, when you are writing memos, any memo that you write, any memo that you write that will make your boss to start looking for dictionary, it's not a good memo. So thank you very much.
Wow. It's so exciting to hear this. You were living or restating these experiences as if it was just yesterday. So
Yes.
How has this experience impacted on your person and your career, sir?
You know, thank you very much. I have said that. First of all, my career, it has made me to be more focused and disciplined in whatever I'm pursuing in my career. When we came initially, it was quite very difficult, and we kept wondering, say, how are we going to get over this? I remember I asked our then one of our study directing staff, and I asked him, sir, I said, this thing, how did you people get through it? It's difficult, and this course. And he told me, he said, what course is your own? I said, our own is 42-2020. So he said, look, 42 people, 41 people have passed through this and they succeeded. So if they succeeded, you also can succeed. So you have to pursue it with vigor and determination and don't give up. So that helped me that whatever I am doing in my career, it's not even practicing law, it's not easy. At times you have to work round the clock, the way it was in NIPSS. Most times you just, all that you needed, you stay in the study group classes for throughout the whole job. You attend your lectures in the day, all through the night. You bachelor all through the night. You only go to your room to clean up and then prepare for the presentation. So with that, that mindset, that attitude, that discipline, there's hardly anything I cannot do in my pro, even if it requires, working all through the day, working all through the night, because I know that I will be successful at the end of the day. So it has also helped me, on how to even make presentation before people, because we also thought about that. I remember it was the Secretary and Director of Administration, Dr. Brigadier General Odaga. Sorry, who told us, say, look, there's no person, and I remember it every time. Odaya, yes, Brigadier Odaya. I said, look, there's no person who doesn't suffer from stage fright. He said, you have to, he said, until it sank down. He said, there's no person who, but first of all, you have to talk to yourself that you are able to do it. The training I had in NIPSS has helped me to know the things to remove and still make very cogent and very strong points. So that's just, it has helped me quite, then in other ways, and also how to relate with people.
Yeah.
Be able to tolerate the shortcomings of other people. So much. Yes, I was working in a place like that in the AFCC. I've been there for years. I've related with people from different backgrounds, from different religions. So, and then also in NIPSS, also that helped me the more. Thank you.
All right. So you really said enough. And I want to ask, what are your principles in life?
My principles in life, first of all, somebody should try and be of good character. Of good character, be a person of integrity. Be a person of integrity. A person you take his words for his word, take him for his words. Person you take for his words. A person that is truthful. A person who is truthful, who is honest, who is transparent. Let it be that as you are looking at me and you are chili okoroma, that's all chili okoroma you see. You don't, everything you see, you are contact with, that's all I am. That's what you know about. That's what I am. So you don't come and tomorrow you see a different person. It is like a chameleon who changes color. No, it's not like that. I should be able to tell you, say, look, this is how it is. And you go away saying that this is how it is because Mr. Chile told you this is how it is. These are my principles. And then also faithfulness in life. Faithfulness even to your employer, faithfulness to your spouse, faithfulness to your friends, colleagues, faithfulness to people you come into contact with. These are my principles, and love and care and the fear of God.
Through this, all your growing up and upbringing, and now as you're a son, who are your mentors and why?
Who are my mentors and why? Growing up, first of all, my parents were my mentors.
Okay.
My mother in particular. My mother was a disciplinarian to the core. The values that my parents inculcated in me, they have carried me through life. I will tell you a story. Many years ago, when I was in secondary school, I gave my book, I think it was Julius Caesar, to one of my cousins to use. And then when he got to school, he lost it or it was stolen. And then he came back. When he came, one day after I asked him for the thing, he couldn't find it. One day he brought one to me, another person's own. And to tell you, I just kept it. I said, what's my business? You took my book, you brought another book for me. That's my business, none of my business. One day my mother saw the book and asked me, who owns this book? And I told her, because one thing my mother, one of the things my mother loved and respected me for was I always told her the truth. And I told her, I said, look, I didn't tell her, oh, somebody loaned it to me or whatever. I said, this was what happened. I gave this book to my cousin, he lost, and he brought this one, and I took it. My mother was furious. He said, you mean your cousin, you lost the book you gave to him and went and stole another person's own and brought and gave you and you kept it? You kept it? She was very angry. He ordered me to return the book for the boy to take back to school. You know, that's one of the values I had in life. One of the values I had in life. So, and that helped me all through life. And that's also what the values I'm trying to instill in my children. So my parents were my mentors. And then my uncle, my maternal uncle, who had to fund my university education because my parents could not afford that. Who, when he heard that I was going to read law, Mr. Chief Sonny Okoye, he said, what? Say he was going to take responsibility. So he sponsored my education, my studies in the university as a lawyer, and also in the law school. So these are my mentors. Now coming out to the among lawyers, when I started practice in those after being called to the bar, in those days when we were in Imo State, then when I used to go to court, as Chief Mike Hamba, he was not a senior advocate then, but later he became a senior advocate. Very handsome man, very, very good, very eloquent speaker. And I used to like watching him in court.
All right, Sam. Thank you. It's good to have this very, very insightful and interesting chat with you on your experience while you were here as a participant at the National Institute, sir. Thank you for your time. We hope that when next we need you, you avail us your time, sir.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very grateful.
Thank you, sir.
Keep watching.
Keep watching. Keep watching NIPSS Policy TV.
Experts say the time for action on irrigation development is now. Nigeria's leaders must make this a priority to ensure food security. With the right policies, interventions, and investments in place, vast irrigation infrastructure projects can get off the drawing board and into the fields. Nigeria's farmers have waited long enough for access to water resources that will help their crops and communities thrive. So, more efforts should be directed towards addressing these vital areas mentioned to achieve optimal irrigation and drainage farming system by the year 2030. That is our package for today. Thank you for your time. I am Lydia Odijochi. God bless Nigeria.